This is a thing that you don't wish on anyone, but unfortunately, it happens quite often. It's a stroke. And it is well known that stroke is among the top 3 causes of death worldwide. But our weapon against stroke is knowledge. And knowledge can really help a lot, and God forbid, of course, but in some situations literally save a life. In this video, I will tell you what early signs of an upcoming stroke the body can give us, as well as how to recognize a stroke in time, and most importantly, what specific steps should be taken if a person has a stroke. Of course, we are well aware that strokes occur more often already in the elderly, that is, after 50 years, but this information is also very relevant for young people, because it can literally save your loved ones if they get into this situation. So watch the video to the end, the information will be extremely useful. So, what is a stroke? A stroke is a situation when at some point blood stops flowing to some part of the brain. And the brain cannot remain without oxygen, because this instantly leads to its death. And this happens due to vascular disease. Somewhere in a wider artery, a blood clot could form, then along it passed into the brain into a narrower artery, and since it is very large in size, it could form a blockage in this place, and as a result, the whole part of the brain can literally lose blood supply. But of course a stroke does not happen just like that is, for many years these vascular diseases have accumulated and developed, and just at a certain moment they caused a catastrophe. But of course there were reasons and there were some symptoms too, it's just that often people didn't pay attention to them. There is even such a thing as a microstroke, and a microstroke can sometimes even go completely unnoticed. So, first I will tell you about the early signals that may indicate an approaching stroke, and then I will tell you directly about the signals of the stroke itself, that it is already happening. So, the first signal that can be a harbinger of a future stroke is numbness of the limbs. That is, literally, you feel that they do not have hands or legs, well, more often than it happened before. We go further, this is a deterioration of memory and attention. If you notice that you quite often began to forget something, you began to lose your thoughts somehow. This has also happened before, and in principle it's normal that people have it, but let's say you notice that it happens much more often than before. If there is a noise in the ears quite sharply and it does not go away, it was not there before. If you have changes in speech, then there are some verbal turns, or some words you cannot pronounce, if you pronounce only there on the second or third attempt, and this also did not happen before. Also, an early harbinger may be a deterioration of vision or hearing. Fainting can also be a rather indicative signal. If this did not happen normally, and then fainting starts to occur once a week, then this is also a signal. And, of course, dizziness, which occurs systematically. So, if 2 or more of these symptoms begin to appear with a frequency of once a week, well, or more often, and it lasts for 2 months or more, then based on this it can be assumed that this is a real harbinger of an upcoming stroke. And here, of course, you need to immediately analyze 2 components. The first is whether you are a hypertensive person, that is, you know your blood pressure, it should not be higher than 140 to 90, because 140 to 90 is already hypertension. The ideal is 120 by 80. And the second thing you need to know is whether you have atherosclerosis. The most direct way to check if you have atherosclerosis is to do 2 things. The first is to donate blood for cholesterol, for a lipid profile, and calculate the atherogenicity index. And the second is to do an ultrasound of the vessels of the neck. Because the carotid artery is so conveniently located that through ultrasound you can really see what its lumen is and what its general condition is. And if the carotid artery is clogged with cholesterol plaques, then with a very high probability it can be concluded that all other arteries are also clogged with cholesterol plaques. That is, this is the general condition of the body. So once again I will repeat for fixing. If once a week for 2 months 2 or more of these symptoms recur, that is, numbness of the limbs, deterioration of memory, attention, tinnitus, changes in speech, deterioration of vision or hearing, dizziness or fainting, and at the same time you have hypertension and or atherosclerosis, then you literally just have to sound the alarm. It is really necessary to go to the doctor for examination and to work out certain decisions that a specialist will prescribe to you. Well, now let's talk about what happens directly during a stroke, or literally before it begins. In general, the symptoms are similar, but the peculiarity is that it will be much sharper and pronounced. That is, it may be a sharp headache. This is a sharp deterioration in vision, either one eye may completely stop seeing, or tunnel vision syndrome may occur, when literally everything becomes dark at the edges, and only what is in the middle is visible. This may be a sharp numbness of the arm or leg, or one area of the face. This may be a severe violation of the coordination of movements. The most insidious thing here is that sometimes a person can literally endure this stroke like this. Well, that is, a person does not like to go to the doctors, he is used to keeping all the pain in himself with clenched teeth, and now he has a headache, he lay down, nothing, and sort of let go, and after 3 hours covered so that he did not wake up. And you can't delay with a stroke, you need to immediately consult a doctor, the sooner the better. The sooner help is provided, the higher the chances of a favorable outcome. If a person has symptoms of a stroke, then ask him to smile. In a normal situation, a person can smile symmetrically. If a person's smile is unnatural for him, not symmetrical, one-sided, well, if you know a person, then you will see that his smile does not work as before, then this is a very sure sign. Then the action. Ask the person to raise both hands at the same time, and see how good his movement coordination is. If a person cannot stand straight and simultaneously raise 2 hands calmly in sync, then this is also a very correct signal. Then articulation, you need to ask a person to literally pronounce this word, articulation. If he is not able to pronounce this word, then this is also very significant. And the last point is the solution. If a person had problems with any of the previous 3 points, then a decision is made to call an ambulance. And the doctor on the hotline needs to be told about these symptoms. And there should be no self-medication here, there should be no hope that he will let go now, he will feel better now. If there are symptoms that I have just described, then put the person on his side, because he may start vomiting, open the window so that there is normal oxygen circulation and wait until an ambulance arrives. Well, or as an option to take him to the hospital yourself, if this is more preferable in your situation. And by the way, it will be extremely dangerous if a person experiences these symptoms himself, trying to get to the hospital on his own. Of course, it is always better if someone helps a sick person, although in general it is clear that there are different situations in life.
Subscribe to the channel so as not to miss a new video. See you later.